Caitlin Alyn, thanks for coming to the pod.
Of course, Latif. Absolutely.
So we know each other from mostly the world famous Oyster Bar.
Yeah.
It's also world class.
It is very classy. All the wood.
I tend to do music there. You tend to host.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty much. Yeah, and then we've got Mike Falzone helping out.
He's the big dog, long-haired, beautiful man who runs it. Don't hit him up for spots.
Yeah,
and
he's not an open mic.
He's not an open mic.
Quit messaging us. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're a comedian, actress, and also head of social media at Laugh Factory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have like an official title, but that is I run their Instagram page specifically.
Okay.
Knocked out, I guess, our Instagram page. We're the biggest comedy club Instagram page in the world. So.
With how many followers?
1.5 million.
1.5 million.
Yeah.
And so what's it like to run that kind of page? Like when you come to the office, what's your day-to-day job?
My main thing is, there's a little bit of everything. I do strategy, right? Like what do we have to work with? What do people want? What's our demographic? What's our audience?
Right.
So strategy, the actual managing of the page. So making sure I'm the one, nothing gets posted unless it goes through me first.
You're the filter.
I'm the filter for the most part. Things always slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
I've tried so hard.
So you're like the person at the restaurant that says this can go out to the people.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm doing my little taste test going, no,
Expediter.
this is a good
You're
one.
the social media expediter. Title.
Hey, title.
There you
Put
go.
it on my resume.
Nice.
And then I'm also creating the content as well. So I'm doing technically like 3 to 7 jobs for this one thing.
Like everyone in LA.
Yeah, I mean this is standard, and this doesn't even include all the other 8 jobs that I actually do. I'm also a producer for other pages, and I manage other pages. And
Okay, so you're like, this is your world.
This is it. I found this world. It wasn't my world. I got hired there as an editor. My background's in filmmaking.
Oh, it is.
I have my BFA in film directing.
Got it.
From a very prestigious film school that no one's heard of. But that was how, that's why I moved to LA. I was like, I'm gonna go make movies, and then got here and I was like, oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And it took me like, I don't know, probably until I started working at the Laugh Factory 2 years ago, where I was like, oh, stand up. I could do that.
You could do that.
Oh, I could totally do that. And that looks fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
It is a lot of fun, because my struggle with film was like, oh, this takes forever. I could write a script, which takes forever. And then to get the money will take forever. And then to make the movie, if it ever happens, will take forever. I'm so exhausted from waiting. And the great thing about stand-up was like, oh, I could do this every night. Most it's going to cost me is like $5 to $10 for, an open mic spot or something. And so the rest is history. But yeah, so social media kind of found me. Kyle Reel.
Yes.
Kyle was my coworker, and he was the one running the Instagram
For
the Laugh Factory.
Oh, he was.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we were coworkers. That's how I know him.
Yeah.
And love that dude to death.
He's great.
But he left to go get another job, and so it just fell in my lap to take over for him. And
Got it.
and then I just had a knack for it, it turned out, and I just had a lot of fun with it, and I grew it up to 1.6. We were beating Comedy Central by about 500,000.
Hey.
And then
Friendly competition.
they don't give me any money to do anything.
So you don't do any ads?
Nope.
So it's just posting the viral clips.
Pretty much. I mean, it and also I create content for the story as well.
And that's a newer thing.
No, I've done that always.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I used to host that content. And we've lost a lot in the last like 6 months or so. And
Lost
that's
a lot of what?
Followers. We were at
Okay.
1.6, now we're at 1.5. Our view, and a lot of this is because of Instagram algorithms and that kind of garbage.
They're probably deleting fake accounts, right?
There's a part of that. There's also I'm sure you are familiar with how Facebook owns Instagram now. It's been a couple years that they've owned it, and since then Instagram's started getting, in my opinion, worse. They want you to spend money.
Right.
They want you to put money into it, and they want you to be on the app 24/7. And so if you look at our numbers from a year ago, we were getting like 200,000 new people coming to our page every day. That means that we were showing up on explore pages and discovery pages. Instagram was boosting our stuff. Then they were like, oh, well, you guys have you have 1.56 million followers and you're not paying any money. So we're going to stop doing that. So now now we're getting 200 new people a day. instead of 200,000.
So you're basically being limited from the discovery side?
Exactly. So all of our people that are there, we have diehard fans. They watch every day. We have 10 times the engagement of any other page.
Do clips go up every day?
Yes.
Okay.
Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And then we just started posting on weekends too, because the strategy now, I don't know if you've noticed this, the strategy now is to post so much that you're always, because people are on Instagram all the time, and the way that the algorithm works, it's more of like the stuff that you watch and you pay attention to the most gets pushed up to the top of the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're posting like 4 or 5 times a day
wow.
because they're just hoping that something will catch you while you're doing your thing. It's way more quantity over quality.
Are they posting and then deleting? Or
No, they're keeping it up.
Keeping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there's no, and I follow all of it, and I'm like, why are they? There's no
Do you have
rhyme
a
or
little
reason.
post pad?
I
You're
do.
like, oh,
I
the
do.
whiteboard, like the see-through glass.
It's
You're
absolutely,
like,
it's
X +
beautiful
Y.
mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm trying to figure out.
Right.
And there's no rhyme or reason to a lot of it. They're just I really feel like they're just throwing shit against the wall, like seeing what sticks. So, we have a different strategy than that. And also I don't have the time, the resources, anything to be posting 4 or 5 times a day.
I'm sure it's limitless. Like you could spend probably an infinite amount of time. You can hire 1 person, 5 person, and all people do it. Like there's so much to do constantly.
So much stuff, because we also have all these other responsibilities from because we're a production team. We also have all these other things going on at the club. We have footage coming in from Long Beach, from Long Beach, excuse me, Las Vegas. We have footage coming in from Chicago. So they send us all their footage. Someone has to watch all that.
Oh, wow.
That's our team. We're watching. Not so much anymore, because now my responsibilities have shifted over mostly to Instagram. But I mean, I was watching at least 3 to 4 hours of stand up every, Monday through Friday. So that's a lot of that. And then I would stay and watch the shows after my shift.
And then so the videos that go up on the page, you and your team watch them, and then you're like, this one's great, let's chop it up, and then your team captions them.
Yep.
How do you take that approach? Like, so you have a lot of like corporate experience with social media, and then do you go home and you're like, well, now I have to also work on my page? Are you just like over it?
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of it too. I mean, I have, considering I have no credits and I have no real, anything to be, I have a decent following. I'm at like 3K. But I know that it could be, if I applied what I was doing for all these other people and applied it to myself, and that crosses my mind all the time, because by the time that it's time for me to make stuff, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Right.
Because that's 24/7. It's 8 to 10 hours, I'm sure, at the job. Then you come home and you got to do your own. You're like,
yeah. Or I mean, so right now I'm focusing more on just doing the work with stand up and getting better and seeing what happens from that. And every once in a while I'll get a good tape and I'll try to post some clips to my page or whatever, but I'm not like actively like, oh, I need followers. Like I also know that all this is bullshit anyway. This is why I'm also trying to branch out and making other types of content other than just stand up, because now it provides an opportunity for sponsorship. So one of the things that we'll see if it ends up happening is Maddie Chimbor has a cooking show. Maddie has a cooking show, and I think it's so funny, and I think it's perfect for our audience, and it's also perfect for money down the line, because we can get sponsored by all different kinds of food companies, liquor companies, drink companies, Blue Apron, all that shit.
Yeah.
And so all it literally says is like, all right, I'm Maddie Chimbor, this is Cooking with Maddie, today is brought to you by Blue Apron, and you just go and do your thing, and we just made $30,000.
Right, yeah. So ads. So when you watch a story and you see an ad in that story, is that Instagram placing the ad, or is that like your page has agreed to do ads?
Well, so it wouldn't be the Laugh Factory, because we don't pay for we don't do any ads at all.
But if
we were there, there's a couple different ways to do it. There's one that's like you're talking about, where it's like, this is an ad. Yeah. And it's very clearly, that's not what I want to do. I want to do more of what I would call like sneaky marketing, where we're just making content.
Right.
We're just making content,
right,
but we're sneaking in a little bit of something in there.
Pepsi.
Yeah. It's product placement, or it literally could just be in the bottom right-hand corner. It just says hashtag sponsored by Michelob. And this is what I do with another company I work for. I do freelance producing for Tastemade, which has 8 million followers on Instagram, and they have like 40 million on Facebook. They're huge. And I started working with them, and I'm going, oh, this is how a company makes a F load of money.
Right.
Just on social media. All their money's on social media.
Yeah.
They don't have any other, they're not making TV shows. They're not doing they're not selling cookbooks or whatever the hell. They're
just social media.
Just social. It's BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed is
Right.
an entire corporation that's built just off social media. And so I'm seeing how they're doing things. I mean, I just got back from New York. They flew me to New York to do social media producing for a Hawaiian dinner roll event.
Okay.
And I'm literally just
like
making
those little square. I love those.
They're the best.
You can mash like 10 of them in a row. Right to the thighs.
Right to my thighs. Dude, yeah. And so they had this big influencer pop-up event in Times Square. And they just wanted me to go and make stories, and they pay me a bunch of money, and and then I design the stories, and we show the client, they approve it, and then we post it to our story, and literally all it says is like sponsored by Hawaiian Dinner Rolls in the bottom right hand corner. The rest of it's all just content.
It's organic. It's not so in your face. It's not like watch me, eat me.
They do some of those too, but for the most part, because the thing is, if it's just advertisements, people are going to check out. Who's going to actively just sit and watch commercials?
Right.
No one. Even when this is why we have Spotify Premium.
That's why Hulu has $3 more to get rid of the commercials.
Because you're like, I fucking hate this. But if you sneak it into content, if you make it part of the content, then it's completely different. But that's requires way more creativity and a sense of humor and all that. So I'm like, here I am, I have all the skills to make them all this money. It requires production.
When you're walking, so when someone hires you to do social media at an event like for Hawaiian Rolls or whatever, are you walking around with a camera or
iPhone.
Just phone? So your thing is like you're just walking around with a phone always.
Yep. So the beauty of it is, at least with Tastemade anyway, is that they want, and I agree with this, and I've said this even to our team, if it looks so produced, it seems corporate again. There's this beautiful middle gray area where it's well done, but it's well done using just all organic. In-app tools, using your, I still have a nice iPhone. I have the newest, fanciest, whatever iPhone.
Yeah. Not the
newest.
Take
I have the 10.
Easy.
I know,
Take it easy.
Sorry,
one
I forgot
from
about
the
the
newest.
new. I need to get a new one. It's not cool anymore. But I have it shoots 4K. Obviously it's a good quality phone and everything.
You do 4K 24 FPS?
I do.
That's what I do.
So it's just me and my phone. I mean, I've seen some people, they'll get like lenses added, or like they'll get little gadgets. You can get
what's
a
the
gimbal,
smooth, the thing that makes it go smooth?
Gimbal,
that's pretty cool.
That's great.
Gimbal. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, write that down. There's some little tools that you can get that kind of takes the production value up. But I even have some apps like I use like a hyperlapse thing that's for time lapses and stop motion. I have an app for that. It's just something, you're trying to mix it up and make it as visually engaging as possible. And then I have an app called Over, which is another app where you can design. It's like Photoshop kind of for your phone. Yeah. And that one's cool because you can import all these different fonts and all these cool things. But it's all from my phone. So
I feel like someone needs to teach a course on like, some people are just so good at like doing this. Like, and like, I'm like, how are you walking, talking, not getting hit in traffic, and you got the perfectly framed and your makeup is right, like.
Well, that's what I tell a lot of my clients too. I'm like, show your, like, I have a couple clients who are a little older. They're self-conscious. They don't want to be on camera all the time. And I'm like, you got to get over that because they're here for you. Right. They're here to watch you, to get to know you. And so you need to show yourself in your life. Yeah. If it's just, you're just selling, if you're just putting up stand-up flyers all the time, people don't give a shit and they're just going to check out. Yeah. So yeah, that's a whole thing. You can get a little ring light for your phone that makes you look beautiful. Yeah.
Look at this. We're just plugging so many great.
We could be making some money on this.
Plug some money. How does the social media channels like Instagram, etc., coincide with the YouTube?
Yeah, so the process that we have right now is that first we pull clips. We're like, this is funny. It's at least 2 minutes long, well written, good audience. Make sure that we have a good crowd. We submit those to our superiors or whatever. There's some people that have to approve it at the club. Once that's greenlit, then we schedule it for YouTube. Well, first we have to get permission from the comic. We send paperwork. Right. If they greenlight it, and we greenlight it and everybody's on the same page, then it goes up on YouTube. Once it's on YouTube, it's free game for anyone to take material from that. So if Tommy runs our TikTok, if he wants to pull a clip, as long as it's from YouTube, it means it's been
Oh,
cleared.
so that's like the first channel.
First channel.
Okay, YouTube first.
For YouTube first. It's also the only one that we're making any money on, and it's not much, but we do run ads.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we're there first, and then once that's there, then it's free game for anyone else to pull. If we want to make a meme out of something, if we want to, make an Instagram video or a TikTok video or whatever, that's how we do that. So I did help a little bit with YouTube in the beginning. That was everyone kind of pitched into everything when I first started, and now because we've gotten so much more stuff going on, we've had to really start delegating more specifically. Like, okay, your YouTube, your Instagram, your TikTok. We're trying to get Twitter, but that's another story.
Yeah.
They have the marketing team wants Twitter for ticket ads.
Oh, for tickets. That makes sense. Blast.
Yeah.
And so if you're building, YouTube channel seems to me the hardest one to crack now because it's been around the longest. And it's like people are kind of like oversaturated. There's so many people on there. What's your approach to building like a successful YouTube channel? Even if it's not Laugh Factory, just if you're a newly hired consultant.
I would say you have a plan for content. If it's not something that you can sustain, forget about it. Because, and I think this just goes across the board with social media, people realize like TikTok starts and now there's like 12-year-olds making $1 million a year doing, they're making so much money on TikTok. And so what happens is we're like, oh, that's the easiest money in the world. So then everybody goes to TikTok and they're trying to,
me too. I'm here.
I'm here. Yeah. And so it ends
$1
up
million for 12-year-olds.
Dude, they're making.
I got an 8-year-old. Let's do this.
Get his ass on the TikTok. It's absolutely insane. And so it ends up, and the same thing with Instagram. And when Vine was a thing, Brittany Ferlin was making $100,000 for a 6-second video on Vine.
Who's that?
She's just a huge social media star. And so she's talked about this, how in the beginning, I mean, there was only a few of them that were doing this really well and had a huge following. And then people start smelling blood, right? And then everybody's like, oh, I want to do this. So then the amount of money starts getting, what's the word I'm looking for? Like watered down, basically, because there's so many people. So now instead of $100,000 for 6 seconds, now she might be making 20, 10. She's making way less. Same thing with YouTube.
Yeah. That's business. It's like coffee shop opens, Starbucks opens, Coffee Bean opens, and like there's competition. Once you see money, other people enter, and then the prices come down.
Yep. And so, it does require some money once you get to a certain point. In the beginning, it's something you can totally do yourself. But once you start growing and you have to put out, people want more, they want more, they want more. You have to, compete with other things. It starts growing. Yeah. So you can't just do it all by yourself, or at the very least, it's going to be exhausting. So you got to hire an editor. You got to hire so that's another bit of work that I do. I work for Michael Yo. I love
Michael Yo. He's doing the Comedy Bunker next week.
Oh, he's the best. I love that man. Yeah. One of my favorite people to work for. Is just such a sweetheart. But so he hires me to make all the videos for him. Okay. So he'll go, like just yesterday, okay, a new podcast is up. I go on my Dropbox, get the footage, and then I just make clips for him. And
from the podcast footage.
Yeah.
And do you caption it?
Yeah, we have a little system in place for that, just because, I mean, he'll put up a video that's 5 minutes long. I'd have to charge him 5 times more. Right. So I'll always just caption 1 minute of the video and then let the rest roll.
That's smart.
That's how we kind of compromised.
And have you ever used Revcom?
What is that?
It's like a site you can upload the video to, and they'll basically send you back a caption file. It's like $1 a minute.
I don't want anyone to know that will put me out of business. So
I mean, it does not exist. Please cancel it. But they don't actually, they just send you back a file, like a text file. Yeah. So they'll listen and write it out. Is it accurate?
So my thing with
I've never used it, but I heard of it.
Okay. So this is my argument to using any kind of automated thing, or because there's a lot of automated apps and stuff like that. With comedy, so much of it is in timing. And what I notice with a lot of people's captions when they do they give away the punchline before they
step on the jokes.
They step on the jokes.
Yeah.
So
even like the fade in, fade out one.
Oh, those are so annoying.
Those are like, it's like.
And I know what those are. I'm pretty sure that's just like an automatic. I'm pretty sure that's iMovie.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just not the way. So I'm like, I I'm gonna cost more but I also make you a cover photo. Yeah. I make sure all the formatting is right, because a lot of people don't.
You mean like a thumbnail, right?
Yeah, thumbnail. Okay. Yeah. Which we just started.
I don't know why I had to do this.
Yeah, well, thumbnail. So I knew what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I like it when there's colors. Like, that's fun.
So I just started doing that with the Laugh Factory. I was like, you know what? We need a step up this somehow, because this
Yeah.
is starting to look a little redundant. So now we have these cute, vibrant, colored, whatever covers with titles.
Yeah.
But clickbait is a huge part of this.
Oh, for the whole world industry is clickbait
It's
now. It's so
clickbait.
sad.
There's that's a whole part of strategy, is how do we get people to actually want to click this shit?
Right. Like comedian punches comedian in face. Oh, it was just in the jokes.
Yeah. Or he's just talking about his punchlines or something. Yeah.
We just set up like a 3-cam setup at Comedy Bunker, so now we can capture like tight, wide, and then also audience. So if there's like a
that's
good
great.
audience engagement, and
Who edits that?
currently nobody.
So you just have all this footage.
Well, it just started, and
Yeah.
like I'll send it to the comedians and they'll handle it. Like Adam Ray did a great one. I just sent it to Daniel Weingarten, so he'll probably do one. Michael
Yeah.
Blaustein did a great one.
That's pretty smart. And do you have? Does this footage? Does it say Comedy Bunker somewhere so that
There's
when
the logo, like this on stage, like
okay,
the crown.
the crown.
And so people know, but it's also like it's it's mostly a free show, so it's a nice like, hey, perk, you do the show, you get a great tape.
Absolutely.
And also some people started being like, can I film? And at first I was like, yes. And then what you see what they post,
Dump.
and you're like, oh no, you can have our tape.
Yeah.
I need to quality control
Yeah,
this
yeah,
because they'll put like the angle low to the floor
It looks
up. It looks
dumpy.
horrendous.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite is we get people to show up at Valley Poppins, and they'll go, oh, can I go up tonight? And I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
No. And then they'll leave, and I'm like, hey, you know what doesn't help your case? Showing
Yeah.
up and then leaving. I'm not, anyway, I'll bitch about that another time.
Yeah, but it's the thing is, yeah, squeaky wheel gets the grease, so it's a thing. But like, shit, what was I gonna say?
About being annoying?
Well, most of the time, like, I mean, as someone who books a show, it's like you just forget because you're getting hit up on Facebook,
Totally.
Facebook page,
Yeah.
Instagram, personal Instagram,
Right.
show Instagram,
Getting
email,
emails,
and
yeah.
sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that guy hit me. But also, what you don't want to be is the guy who gets the spot because you're just like, fine, just to get out of my face.
I don't want to be that comic. I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
people to be coming to me being like, oh, I saw you perform the other night and you were so funny. Do you want to do
Yeah.
my show? Like, I'd almost rather not get booked than have to be that person who's like bugging everybody to get
Yeah.
up. Like,
There's a balance, and
there's
be
a balance.
respectful, and you got to do reach. I find like if I stop reaching out, then all of a sudden, like this month is kind of light for me because like in December I stopped. It was holidays. I stopped like hitting people up, and you're
Yeah.
like,
You gotta, I mean, that's a big part of comedy in general, and I'm sure this goes for everything, but I just have learned that consistency is just like so important.
oh yeah,
It's just so important because if
in
I
posting and being a good person,
being visible, because
Yeah.
there's just so much going on and everybody's got their own little, where I've got
yeah,
worlds of shit going on in our lives and stuff, and if I take time off, I realize people forget about me.
yeah, you got to be around,
You got to be around.
top of mind.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of visible, you just flashed me your little tat. What does that say?
It says, "Praise the Lord, oh my soul."
Okay, you're from South Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina,
Oh,
but
well,
tomato,
same
tomato.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that like an offensive thing? If I said you're from South and you're like, no, I'm from North.
No, just saying I'm from the South is offensive.
Oh, all of it sucks.
It's just all
Okay.
sucks. I mean, our family's we're from Oregon, and
Oh, okay.
my dad got a job when I was,
Yeah.
in elementary school or whatever. We moved to North Carolina, and the whole time I was there, I was like, when can I
Yeah, because you
escape?
seem like a West Coast girl.
I'm not
Yeah.
an East Coast person. I'm definitely not a Southern person.
Yeah. Pacific Northwest. That's me too.
Yeah.
Ugh.
We're Seattle.
Vancouver.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in
I lived in
Kirkland.
Seattle though.
Lived in Seattle. Lived in Eugene, Oregon.
Where'd you live in Seattle?
Where?
Yeah.
Kirkland.
Is that like where Costco is?
I don't. I was like 5, so
Oh, okay.
I'm sure there's a Costco there.
Got it.
It's a
That's
suburb.
the brand, right?
It's a suburb.
Kirkland?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the Costco brand.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am, I guess, but I lived there the longest. So when people say, "Where are you from?" I feel obligated to be like North Carolina.
Right.
But it never felt like home.
You have time. Your bio's not set in stone.
Yeah.
You can keep changing.
Well, now I've
it.
been here almost 6 years, so I feel like I'm getting, I'm putting in some time. I can soon say that I'm a Californian.
Yeah. Bios are really important too
Mm.
for people. Like have well-written bio that's not like overly like braggadocious, but right on. It's
Right.
hard to write one, especially
It
as yourself
is.
if you're not a good writer. And
It also depends too on like what you're how are you trying to sell yourself or
Mhm.
whatever. for a while I was like, do I want people to know that I do social media? Because
Right.
I'd rather just be known as a comedian. But then I realized like social media is going to be the thing that pays my bills while I pursue comedy.
Yeah.
So I need people to know that I do it and I do it well. So I've started, I call myself a producer now. So at least it still feels which is true because I'm producing all the content.
Yeah.
So at least it seems
Sounds
a little
better
more
at cocktail
professional.
parties. But she's
I'm a social
producer.
media producer. Yeah. Which is true. I mean, I create all that stuff.
Yeah. But now that everything's transparent, like, you're out there, you're trying to make real connections through the phone.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to be like, oh, I'm just a comic or I'm just this, it's not as authentic and people don't care. People don't care if you have a job.
Yeah.
Like we had Alex Hooper on last week. He was talking about his day job at Universal Studios. He's like, it makes me like people. Yeah, sometimes go like, weren't you just on America's Got Talent? He's like, yeah, but also now I have money to like invest in my career, invest in my pod, and like not be homeless and like.
I meet a ton of people working at the Laugh Factory. I mean, that was
especially for you like that's like
huge.
Comedy.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that's how I met Mike.
Michael Yo.
Michael Yo and Mike Falzone.
Oh, Mike Falzone.
Because he was there for a podcast, and Mike Falzone is just such a good dude that he would show up and he would always come and say hi to everybody and introduce himself or whatever. I got into stand-up because of Matty Carteropole, who's not really a comedian, he's more an actor, but he had a weekly show called Good Vibes that he was putting on. And I was wanting to try stand-up, but I didn't really know where to start, and I didn't want to just go do an open mic. So he was like, you're pretty funny, why don't you just host for me? And so I started hosting for him.
Oh, nice.
And so like everything I've gotten from doing comedy is all because of the Laugh Factory.
Yeah.
Just being in the space.
The hang has gotten better. Like I stopped by, oh my God, I'm having a brain meltdown. What's the Irish guy?
Oh, Mark Hayes.
I started by Mark Hayes' show.
Yeah.
And it was like we're hanging upstairs and Maddie was there and Nochi was there.
We're working on it. Because that's something that we've noticed is like, hey, that everybody wants to hang out at the Comedy Store and the Improv.
Right.
Nobody wants to hang out
Mostly
here.
the store, yeah.
Mostly the store. And part of that is because there's really nowhere to hang out.
Yeah.
So they're soundproofing that VIP room is what they're trying to do, so that way we can hang out in there and not interrupt the show, and turn the bar into an actual bar, so that people can have a drink and hang out.
Love it.
So they're working on it. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I wanted to go over some social media myths with you and just see if they're like true or false.
Okay. Cool.
Posting every day on not on stories, on regular posts on Instagram should be done between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m.
False.
False.
There is no hard and set rule. First and foremost, if you are interested in knowing your analytics, like when are my followers engaging the most or whatever, you need to have a business account so you can see those.
Yeah.
So it's different for every person. And it does take a little experimenting. Because you could post every day at 10 a.m. and might get 200 views or whatever. And then you can try posting at 2 p.m. for a couple weeks and that might double. And maybe you try 6 p.m. and that might triple.
So you got to try.
You got to experiment. And it will show you, like the times that work the best on your analytics. I've found personally that my stuff always does a lot better if it's at the end of the workday. So like when people are leaving. And also I have both New York followers and LA, East Coast and West Coast followers. So I go around 6 p.m. So that way it's right when we're done with work here on the West Coast and people are like kind of hanging out around 9 p.m. or whatever on the East Coast.
6 p.m.
That's
your sweet spot.
My sweet spot. But I've also started just experimenting with posting at different times. I've cut back on my hashtags and stuff, just seeing like, is this making any difference?
Right.
There's so much of it that's just experimenting. So false, not hard and true.
Yeah. I for me, I've thought it worked for 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., but it could all just be in my head. I got to look at the stats. The ratio matters. And when people look at your ratio, I have like, if I have 1,000 followers, I should have 1,000 followers, I should have less than that in people I follow.
No, it doesn't matter, but it is kind of a status thing.
Yeah.
And it also, the reason why that doesn't look so good is because that is a technique that some people do, especially when you're starting off a page, to just follow a bunch of people and then you hope and there's even apps that'll do this for you on their own.
A lot of comedy shows will do that when they start. They'll follow like 3,000 people.
They'll follow all these people.
Yeah.
And it's just the only reason why that's not good is it just looks like no one wants to follow you back. You're following all
You're
these
lonely.
PB.
No one wants to be your friend.
Yeah. So It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is kind of a status thing.
So it's true.
I would say it's true. I would say it lands on the side of truth. And I'll also add to that the ratio of your engagement is important. So if you have, and I can always tell who has fake followers.
Oh, it's so easy to tell.
It's so easy. Oh, you have 1 million followers, but only 10,000 people are liking this photo.
Yeah. Even if you have 20,000 and like 50 likes, you're like, that's fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's more, I mean, and then to me, that is just the tackiest, most disgusting thing is when someone has bought. It's just like, so like, what do you think?
Gross. Yeah.
What do you think? We're not going to tell that no one's looking
It's
at
like
your
the
shit?
First round of bad breast implants.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I was
this
like,
worked
these are
for like
some
1
fake
week in 1991.
rock hard titties.
Oh, you can't even hug? It's just like being impaled.
Yeah.
All right. Posting once per day is the max on Instagram.
False.
Now,
I would say if your stuff isn't good, then don't post more than that. But if you have good stuff and you want to post a funny photo and then post a video later in the day, go for it. But also pay attention. You just have to pay attention to your numbers on that one too. If you realize that your numbers aren't doing very well and you're posting a lot more. I mean, I had a friend of mine who got information from Instagram, which is true. They had this meeting for influencers and they're like, here's what we want you guys to do. And it was an absurd amount of posting. It was like, we want to do 1 live, at least 3 stories a day, 1 regular post, 1 photo, 1 video. It was so much stuff. And so this guy starts doing it. Well, his stuff was crap.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. And it started getting on my goddamn nerves. Like, he was posting so much. I finally just muted him. I was like, you are annoying. He was trying to do what a professional with a big resource and like real content was. He was forcing it. So keep in mind the quality of your stuff too. If your stuff isn't that great, don't just post because you need to post something. It's going to start annoying people.
Right. Food pics are dead.
My thing is, what is the purpose of your Instagram page?
Yeah.
If you're a foodie, then okay. But even then, I tell my clients, put yourself in it somehow. Don't just take a picture of the food.
Yeah.
Show you eating the food or something, because it's about you. I'm not following. If I'm following a food page, then I'm following it because I want to see food. I'm not following Latif for what you ate tonight. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
So, and if you are gonna do that as a comedian, then you better make a video out of it, and it better be fucking funny.
Better be good.
Yeah. Sorry, am I allowed to cuss on here? Sorry.
You can swear all you want.
Okay, great.
So food pics, dead. Confirmed.
Just kill it.
Twitter is dead.
It is definitely dying. I think that like most things, things trend and things, and Twitter could change their way of doing things, and it could, maybe affect things. But Facebook and Twitter to me are kind of outdated, and the way that they're being used for is mostly just bitching and complaining and politics and stuff. So it's not content, it's not entertainment. And at the end of the day, like, that's what we're going to pay more attention to. So I think Instagram's always going to do well because it's just a platform made for that. But if they do what YouTube does, where it just starts to get so oversaturated that you don't even know where to turn, it's probably going to start having some issues.
Yeah. And then I'm going to put myself out there with this one.
Okay.
I'm going to pull up my Instagram.
Okay.
Hand you it to his professional. Pretend you don't know me.
Okay.
And then you're like, hey, Caitlin, I'm a comedian. I want to work with you. Tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Okay.
Or tell me what I'm doing right.
No, I was going to say, I mean, this is a good page. It's a lot. Okay, so you've got a podcast clip, which is good. I think you need more content. It's a lot of photos of you, which
Some
is
more video.
Good. Yeah, or if you're going to make a meme or share a joke, if you're going to post this photo of you on stage, can you include one of your jokes written next to it? That would be more content than just a photo.
Jokes, little
something.
taste.
Yeah, like I've got a couple one-liners that don't necessarily, and I don't really like Twitter.
Yeah.
But I might use something that would have worked as a tweet. I'll make it into a photo, and now I've kind of combined both, and those are going to do a lot better. And you've also increased your chances of it being shared, of tagging friends, saying, "Oh, you did that too. You did it," and tagging a buddy.
Yeah.
But the actual content that you have on here is good, and it looks really nice. You have a lot of black and white. Color is important.
Yeah.
Not to say like color, I just mean like your color scheme or theme.
Right.
Like
yeah.
having kind of a uniform look.
Yeah.
Once the show's over, I might archive your flyers.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why we need to look at those later?
None.
Yeah. I would probably just do that. And if you really want to keep it on there for some reason, you can, I'm sure you post those to your story.
Right.
So you can just make it a highlight. And so it's there if someone wants to see
highlights.
it. But it's not like clogging your
it's
page.
Not, it's not cluttering it up with like an off color or just looking different. Right?
Yeah.
Keeping the theme kind of like consistent.
Yep. And I just find that flyers in general, I keep those to my story unless like I'm doing Granison's show tonight. The baseball cards.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's so smart on Granison's part because that is shareable.
Yeah.
If it's just
and I'm keeping that up.
I think you should. It looks really cool. I'm keeping
Yeah.
mine up. So that's something to think about too when you're promoting your shows, when you're putting stuff together to market your stuff. What's something that a comic actually would want to post? If it's just a flyer, chances are they're like, I'm not posting this to my page.
Right.
I'll put it on my story, but I won't put it on my page.
Right. Here's another one. Clipping your clips as a stand-up and captioning them is dead and is too late. You shouldn't do it.
No, I wouldn't say that you shouldn't do it. I think it's good because here's the thing. If let's say I'm a booker and some friend of yours is like, hey, I want you to check out my friend Latif. He's so funny.
Yeah.
And then I go, okay,
all the time.
Right, of course. And I look at your page and I'm like, where's the comedy though?
Right.
I don't know any, like I'm seeing that you perform,
right,
but I'm not seeing, are you any good? I'm not seeing your skill set or anything like that. So my reasoning for doing that is less about trying to gain followers necessarily, but more about if you're trying to market yourself as a comedian, which you are, then you need to be showing what you're doing in some facet.
Show yourself doing comedy.
Yeah, not just a photo of it.
Right.
Even if it's just a 15-second clip that you just have like the end of a joke and then people are laughing or something. If you don't want to give away your whole material,
right,
there's still ways you can work around it, or just take that one joke and turn it into a meme and post it so people can see, oh, he's a good joke writer or whatever. Yeah,
right, that's a good one.
Yep.
And then hashtags, do they matter?
Yes, they do matter. The thing about hashtags is, first of all, if you post something and you go back and edit that, it's essentially like deleting all the hashtags at that point. It's a timing thing. So it's kind of hard to explain. So if you post
dive into that.
Okay, so if you post at noon, let's say, and you have all these hashtags, and then you have hashtag comedy, for example, we'll use that. Right when you post at noon, that's when that hashtag is considered like active or whatever, is at noon, because that's when the photo was posted. If you edit the photo and you add hashtags and do all this shit, it's still going to be showing up as a noon post. So none of those hashtags are going to show up.
It doesn't go top of timeline.
No.
It puts it back. It puts it in that hashtag, but at the time it happened.
Exactly.
Oh.
So you're essentially kind of shooting yourself in the foot. It like kills those hashtags. So once you post, don't edit your caption. You're stuck with that, which is why you should absolutely make sure you're proofreading. Yeah. And you make sure that you have the right people. I mean, it's happened to us with the Laugh Factory where I oh shit, I spelled that person's name wrong. And then I go back and edit and I notice the numbers aren't as good. So definitely the hashtags help. What I usually do, because I just think that they're a little tacky, is that I'll post my photo. I'll have a bunch of hashtags at the bottom, and in a day I'll go and I'll edit and I'll delete the hashtags, because at that point they're dead hashtags anyway. Right. It's all timing. So
so then it looks cleaner for later. Yeah. Oh, that's a really good tip.
Yeah, and then people are like, oh, I shows all these likes. I mean, that's kind of it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code.
So false. It's not. Hashtags are not dead.
They matter, especially now because Instagram is making it harder for your stuff to get discovered.
Right.
So you almost have to work a little harder to get your stuff out there, which is hashtags.
Right. Just put hashtag Beyonce.
And geotag. Always geotag.
Always geotag. Mm-hmm. If you post a video on your page, like not in your stories, and it doesn't get a lot of views, you should take that video down and try it again, because sometimes it'll just hit the algorithm right. True or false?
I wouldn't go for it. Give it a try. I'll say true. It's again, a lot of this is totally dependent on your audience and stuff.
Right.
If there's just a bunch of your friends, they might get annoyed if they see it again. They might just skip over it. You might actually end up shooting yourself in the foot. If you've got 10,000 followers or something, then I might say that that's a good tactic. Mm-hmm. Another thing to do is share it to your story with either a swipe up to go watch it or with a tap here. Well, it's not even a verification. You don't need to be verified to have a swipe up. You just need 10,000 followers.
Oh, 10,000 above. Got it.
But for IGTV Jesus, IGTV videos,
Yeah.
you don't need to have 10,000 followers. You can have a swipe up for any of your IGTV.
Oh, you can.
So
That's a good one.
Yeah, so I'll do that. I mean, I just posted like a stand-up clip. It was like a 3-minute clip from Heavy Heavy Lolo.
Yep, great show.
Great show. Tuesdays 11 at Bar Lubitsch.
Tonight.
Oh yeah, that's tonight. I posted that to my story, and I was like, hey, just think, you never know. Some people might have missed it or whatever, and I have a good consistent viewing on my story, so I'll share it to my story as well to try and redirect some traffic, or maybe they missed it in their feed, but so it's kind of help. That's my tactic anyway.
Here's a good one. I'm sure you get this a lot.
Okay.
How do I get verified?
Everyone wants that answer, and you either need to have a publicist.
Yep.
You need to know someone at Instagram, or you need to be so famous that you're telling people, or you need to be verified on other pages. If you're verified on Twitter, if you're verified on Facebook or another platform, that's going to greatly help your case. But the main reason to get verified is because you're essentially saying, I'm such a big person now that other people are imitating me.
Right.
So that if you're just a random dude, no one's trying to imitate you.
Right, you're Robert Downey Jr. You want to make sure
that they know that this is the real one and not all these other fake accounts.
Right.
So that's really what it comes down to. And it's pretty tough or you need to have someone who does have that kind of clout. Maybe talk to their publicist to help you out or something like that. You know, I have friends who are rumored to have connections. So far, I haven't really seen anything ever fall. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to verify. Even if you know somebody who knows someone, they're not going to verify you just because.
Right.
But it has nothing to do with the amount of followers that you have. There's people verified at 2,000 followers. It has nothing to do with that. But it is about, are people trying to imitate you in some way? That's the main reason for verification. Yeah,
in music, the labels I worked for, we often had someone there at Instagram and stuff to get the artist verified when they were starting out.
Absolutely.
But it's also gotten a lot harder. This is like
again, this is it. It's just so oversaturated, and so how do you stand out? It's tough.
I mean, we're all just trying to stand out, stand up, all those things.
Absolutely. The other thing, I'll give another little cheat code for you guys. There's something called shadow tags or hidden tags.
Shadow tags.
On your story. And basically what that means is that, because there's plenty of times where I don't want to clog the image with all the like tagging friends or doing if you can add hashtags to your stories to help get them to be more visible, to show up on discovery pages, and geotagging as well. But I don't want all that stuff all over my story necessarily. So you just drag it off the screen.
Oh yeah, I've been using that one.
Drag it off the screen. Yeah. So, but a lot of people don't know that, and that way you can increase your visibility on your stories without also looking like 8,000 hashtags all over the image.
I do that for show flyers because I want the flyer to be clean, and I just drag it off so everyone can still repost it. But
the only downside to that is if there's anybody that you want to tag so they can see their page, they won't ever know. But
I don't want them going anywhere else.
It doesn't matter.
Stay on here.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why you might want that, let's say that, I don't know, Adam Ray's on your show, right? And he's got 60K or something like that. And, I guess, you don't even need to do it for him in that regard. Because no one can repost your stories unless you tag them. So if you want all these people tagged so that they repost for a flyer, then that's the way to do it, is you just drag it off the screen. And it'll still be there, it just won't be visible.
And Maddie and I drove by the Laugh Factory, and we saw Vinny Fazline in the window of the Laugh Factory. What was he doing?
In the window?
He was in the window where the people line up around the corner, and he was being very still, I guess, and they were
This is
filming
the first
him or
I've ever
something.
heard of this.
Check out Maddie's story. It might still be up.
Was this from yesterday?
No, it's probably not up. This was Saturday.
So weird. I have no idea.
No?
They was probably just goofing off.
No, it seemed like they were doing some sort of content thing.
Definitely wasn't for us.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
he
just doing it for himself.
He just snuck into the factory and he's living in...
Maybe. He's like living in there.
And living in the window.
That's funny.
Well, this is great. Any parting tips for what's your parting piece of advice for people out there trying to break into this confusing world of social media?
Well, for one, main thing is to have fun with it. If you're not enjoying it, then it's really pointless. But also, just keep it. I know that a lot of people, especially let's say 30 and older, that includes myself, but 30 and older, it is weird for people who didn't grow up with this kind of thing to sell yourself and to share the stuff that you're doing. It's absolutely, this is personal marketing. Just
personal marketing.
Stop looking at it like this is a social platform. It is. It is a social platform, but this is way more about your product that you're trying to sell to everybody.
Because we're all being filmed 24/7. We're visible people in this world. Like the person you're talking about. Like I don't want to be filmed. Like you're out there. You're on security cameras. Like get over it.
It's all over the place all the time. But there's, I think a lot of people think that it's like, oh, I'm bragging. This is gross. I'm like, get over it.
Yeah. It took me a while to put myself on my own show flyers. I was like, I can't.
Right.
Yeah.
So just use it for that. Quit. There's definitely a social aspect to it, but more than anything, I mean, and I have friends who I don't call and talk to every day, but I went to New York and I ran into people I hadn't seen in years, and they knew everything that had been going on with me.
Yeah.
And in a good way, they were keeping track, they were paying attention, they were having, and they were seeing what I was doing. So there's value in it, and it is, there is a greater purpose in it. And unfortunately, it is kind of a necessary evil. So buckle up. And if you don't know what you're doing, hire me.
Oh, and where do they find you to hire you?
Just find me on Instagram is probably the best way. Caitlin Alyn.
Spell that last name.
Alyn.
Alyn. Caitlin Alyn. Laugh Factory, comedian, actress, video editor. She's the one. Hire her to do all this stuff. Michael Yo uses her. What else do you need to know? This was great. Thank you so much for coming. And
Thanks for having me.
I'll see you Monday at least.
Okay.
Bye.